episode of Tell the Story. I'm your host, Ethan Turner, and we gotta talk about the trailer of this podcast. And I recently just listened back to it and am appalled at how terrible the audio sounds. I'm so sorry about that. It was something with, I was editing that one on GarageBand and I couldn't get the levels right, and then the music was louder than what I was saying, or like, I don't know, but my voice turned out really muffled, and it's really funny to think about how it started. I mean, in a couple years, maybe, if we're still doing this, I'm gonna look back and listen to that trailer and I might throw up. Yeah, that was interesting. But anyways, today we're gonna talk about a story that changed my life. It started off as we were going to America. So my family always usually takes a trip on the summer to kind of get out of the country, because we don't like to stay in one place we don't like to stay here for a long time. So last summer we were going to America. On our way there, we were on connecting flights to Portugal. So me, my mom, and my two brothers were on our way to Portugal, as Elliot and my dad were already in America. That's going to be another story. Stay tuned. And then on our way to Portugal, it was an easy flight, kind of what we've always done before, so I was used to everything that was going on. I asked my mom to let me have control of what we were doing, because I like to learn and just take myself through how the whole airport process goes. So just going through the normal stuff like airport customs and just all the necessary stuff to get onto the flight, everything that I'm fairly used to. And then got on the plane. As about a 2 to 3 hour flight, which was fine. It flew by. There were sadly no TVs or screens on the back of the chairs, which is always a fun surprise. Then landing in Portugal, it was kind of cool. I always love being in the airport. It's a lot of what I'm just used to. So we arrived and everything was going normal. We were on connecting flights from Portugal to Chicago. So we were there for a while. I think we arrived and our flight was about 4 hours until it departed, and we didn't know our gate information quite yet. So I had fun just exploring the airport. Always fun to go through and kind of just look around. There's always something there that you've never seen in your own country. There's always some weird store that sells sardines. Yeah, in Portugal there is a store that sells sardines and only sardines. There's like tubs, there's a whole wall of sardines. That was like the craziest thing I've seen in an airport so far, and I was like really confused. There was a sardine throne. There was a throne made of sardine cans. It was like a museum or something. I don't know. It was kind of crazy. Anyways, other than that, everything was going great. And then once we were given our gate information, we went over and got seats. We chilled for a while, just waiting for our flight to get ready so we can board. And this is kind of where it went a little bit crazy. We got in line and everything was normal, everything was usual. We were waiting, and then we get up to the desk where we have to give in our passports and tickets and show that we have the right information. And we had everything that we needed, but they wouldn't let us on the flight because we didn't have proof that we were flying back to the UK and that we're not staying in America. At this moment, I was a bit confused. I was also slightly worried because if we didn't catch this flight, we'd kind of be stuck in a country that we know no one in. We don't really know where we are. We've never been in this country before, and we're stuck in the airport. I started to worry. In my head, I went through all the possible scenarios of how we could be safe. I started to think how we could get hotel information and just get everything that we needed. But yeah, it was hard. The clock was ticking, and we needed to get on that flight. My dad and Elliot were in America waiting for us, but in that moment they were on a flight, so we couldn't contact them for help. And what they needed for us to get onto the flight was all the proof that we had tickets, and we needed to find those. But my dad ordered all the tickets, and he's on a flight already, so we can't contact him. And we need those tickets to get on our flight to go see him. So we were definitely in a pickle. We were stuck. So with about 10-15 minutes left until the flight departs, we were scouring through all these different emails trying to find the email confirmation of getting those tickets. So my mom was going crazy. Me and Jonathan and Noah were just there waiting. Jonathan and Noah started to freak out. I was freaking out. I was trying to film some parts to document it, but it was scary. It was really scary. Myself, I've traveled loads, but I've never really had one of these situations yet, and I was very scared. It was hard. It was a lot to go over in my head. Lots of thoughts were running through, like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna get on this flight? What happens if we don't? If we do, it's gonna be great, but we can't get there right now. Yeah, it was a bit crazy. We tried to ask one of the flight attendants and people if we could get on, because we had the tickets of this flight, so we had all the proof to get on this flight, but they wouldn't let us get back on the plane. And I was thinking, we're taking the same airlines back to the UK. Surely they would have the flight information on their system. Like, they should have it. They should be able to, in these situations, be able to look on their airlines for our names to see if we actually had tickets from America back to the UK. Surely they had that information somewhere, but we had to find it ourselves. So it was an unexpected thing that we really had to have planned for, and I know in the future I will definitely have all that information ready after this experience. But it was a lot. We kept searching, and we couldn't find anything. Mom went through about 3 different emails to try and find it, and we couldn't find it anywhere. And after about 30 minutes of searching, the flight was leaving in about 5 minutes. I'm kind of exaggerating, but it was leaving really soon. After about 30 minutes of searching, Mom finally found the right email. We went through multiple times where we thought we found the email, got super excited, and it wasn't the right tickets. But this time, we finally found it. I am very happy that we got on that flight, because that was a roller coaster of emotions. And luckily, to our surprise, not really, it's a long flight, and there were TVs, so we had time and loads of time to watch movies, which is one of my favorite parts on the plane, to have that amazing yet somehow disgusting airplane food whilst watching Cars 2. Like, it's so comfortable, and I just love it so much. So from Portugal to Chicago is an 8-hour flight. We stayed in Chicago for a night and then met my dad and Elliot in Texas the next day. And that whole trip is a whole nother podcast episode, but that was one of the craziest moments of the entire trip. Just having that fear of not actually making it and getting a sense of how scary not catching a flight can be. And who knows, I'll probably have a lot more of these stories in the future as I continue to travel, but for now, that's the craziest moment, and I'm happy that I got to share it with you guys. And if you have any crazy stories like what I've just told, please tell me them at Tell the Story Pod on Instagram, and I'd love to hear your stories. And thank you for listening, and catch me back next week with another story, because I've got loads of stories to tell.